I sympathize us. Some of them went home, some stay around up to this point. And we been here, and our responsibility to be around is to make sure that we exercise the necessary calm and the necessary restraint. That's why I came on this part to ensure at least the media has been here, the trial has been here. You see there have been no rock stone throwing. People have been very calm, peaceful, organized. But we got a message for President Boycott. President Boycott has purposely chosen to turn the country into chaos. Let me repeat. President Boycott has voluntarily, through security apparatus of this country, to turn this nation into chaos. Ours is the stability of Liberia. We're not tolerating no pamper or chaos from the president whose legitimacy is being questioned. The way he won the election in this country with the margin, it cost us the Republic of Liberia. And having said that, we are under moral obligation as the custodian of the national peace and security of the country. Those who went to elections and peacefully gave up are significant that the people of Liberia remain safe and that the country is protected. But the chaos that President Boycott has brought upon himself will erect, like many people will say, the necessary checkpoint by protecting the peace and the security of our country. I can publicly that Fanatikofa and 4 others are political prisoners of the Republic of Liberia. They were targeted, they were wrongfully caught in under the pretext that they only want to ask them some question, not knowing that they wanted to have arrested them.
Yo! Down, human rights violations, down! Down, human rights violations, down!
Not only are they political prisoners, but I can say to you that the...
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Friday edition of the closing argument. Today we are going to be doing a weekend review. We are going to go back to Monday and bring you up to speed, but we're going to stick with the breaking news in Liberia. We are talking about the Republic of Liberia arresting lawmakers and the former Speaker of the House. And the headline reads, police deny temporary release of Councillor J. Fonati Kofa and others after the arson charges. We are also going to be talking about the police spokeswoman. She had a press conference. She was very selective in who she allowed into her press briefing, mostly government media, and left out the public at large. And she's getting some kickback. In my hometown, Fort Pierce, Florida, the weather here today is 86 degrees and sunny. Very nice. Ocean breeze is blowing. Down south, Miami, 86 degrees, partly cloudy. New York City, 84 degrees, mostly cloudy. Monrovia, the nation's capital, Republic of Liberia, the weather there should be 82 degrees and mostly cloudy. In my hometown, Buchanan, Grand Bassa County, 81 degrees, mostly cloudy. Major international news. We are going to be discussing issues about immigration. We are hearing about taxes on remittances, money being sent to Liberia. How does that affect Liberia and Liberians? We're going to discuss. But first, let's go to the major news here. Police deny temporary release for the former speaker. And the news goes like this. The charges come after a month-long investigation by the Joint Security with assistance from foreign fire expert. Picture of the burned section of the Capitol building covers the police investigation. And it says here, the Liberia National Police have denied a request for the legal team representing Councillor J. Fonati Kofa and his colleague to sign for their temporary release. Front Page Africa has reliably learned. The development follows the formal charging of Kofa and several lawmakers with criminal facilitation, arson, and criminal conspiracy to commit arson in connection with the December 2024 fire that destroyed a section of the Capitol building. The charges come after a month-long investigation by the Joint Security with assistance from foreign experts. Sources close to the investigation allege that the government has obtained witnesses' statements implicating some of the accused. Police and National Security Agency, NSA, sources told Front Page Africa that the police and the public should wait and see how things unfold. Despite all 5 lawmakers having been officially charged, authorities continue to hold them without bail, bond, or release on their own recognizances. Legal experts have described this as a violation of both statutory and constitutional provision guarantee due process and the presumption of innocence. According to Chapter 13 of the Liberian Criminal Prosecution or Procedural Law, once a person is formally charged, the question of release becomes a matter for the court and not the police. The police have no authority under Liberian law to detain any person post-charge unless a court has ordered the remand. Furthermore, the commonly cited 48-hour rule under Article 21F of the Constitution, which mandates that a person arrested may be charged within 48 hours or released, does not apply once charges are already filed. In this case, since charges have already been filed, the police should have either released the lawmakers or on their own recognizance or bail, or immediately turn them over to the court. So this is where we are. Myean, you were present today as things unfolded in Liberia. I am reading what the police said and what the case looks like. And legal luminaries, lawyers around the world, around the country, constitutional lawyers are saying that the police and the Liberian government are in the wrong here. They are actually violating their own laws. Your take, you were there. What did you see? What did you observe?
Okay, Mr. Gamen, thank you, and thanks to our followers and to our viewer. So today in Monrovia, it was a very, very busy day for we journalists and reporters from that end. So what we observed this morning, we were there from 8 o'clock up to 7 p.m. in the evening, where we attended the press briefing from the Liberia National Police. So this morning, when we firstly saw the arrival of former Speaker Councillor J. Fonati Kofa, the first thing we saw from him was a toothbrush, and we asked him, what are you doing with the toothbrush? And he stated that he brought the toothbrush for some personal hygiene issue. So we started asking, is it true that you are going to be jailed or prosecuted? He said, I don't know, because I brought this toothbrush because of purpose. So certainly when he entered, we saw a few other lawmakers came in, and we asked them same question, and some of them said they are free from the case and they are going to walk out freely. Like after 10 to 15 minutes while sitting in, we saw the speaker coming outside and he was in a type of sad mood. So we asked him, he could not talk to the media, talk to anyone, but rather when he got in his car trying to leave, it was how we saw some security measures start to put into place where they blocked the way, the speaker couldn't go out. So we started to know what exactly going on. It was so strange to everyone that we seen the speaker enter after 15 to 20 minutes in trying to leave. So it was like surprise. So what security and prior were putting things into place, we saw the speaker, the councillor started to ask, why is it that you guys are blocking our way? And the speaker explained everything to him. When the councillor heard about it, security came around, some security officers they came around, they started to appeal to the speaker. It was how we got to know that when the speaker entered the house for the process, over 30 minutes, the IG was not available, or any of them were not available to start the process. So because of that, it got the former speaker angry and he left the place. So trying to leave or how they blocked the way, and our viewers and our followers were concerned on what exactly happening, and Liberian people as a whole, they were all concerned about the speaker leaving, I mean, the former speaker leaving the premises of the Liberia National Police. So after they concluded that, and he went back inside like an hour ago, and then we saw the representative from district number 9, Honorable Frank Safoko, who came out, and we interviewed. He said the Liberia National Police declared him to be a free man, and he was released so that he can be able to go. So he may be called at any point in time, but based on what they told him, they don't have any charges or any substantial evidences against him. So because of that, that's why they released him. So we left there up to 4 in the evening. It was how we received or information from an inner source or credible source within the Liberia National Police that the former speaker and others are going to be indicted. And we started to question that person. Why is it that he's going to be indicted and others? They said that you guys just have to do your work, go on the grounds and do your work. So we were surprised. Later we received a call again that we should go at the prison compound. So we started to see a huge number of supporters from the lawmakers who were invited. They started to surround the whole entire building, and police started to put some measure into place. So with that, all of what happened today, it was so terrible for that. So I think it is necessary that Liberian people give their own analysis on what happened today, because from what we saw, seditions are taking this to be a witch hunt or a political fight. Like we heard from Mose Akara Gray, he said that what happened to former speaker and others are all political fight, and they are doing a political drama, in a sense like they are arresting them so that they can be able to make the sedition or the opposition angry to come out, so that they can make Liberia to be a chaotic one for everyone. So because of that, they will not make the country to be that way, or rather to go the legal step. And they are having a meeting tomorrow, or a gathering tomorrow, and they gave the government or the Liberia National Police 24-hour ultimatum to release the former speaker and others. If not, tomorrow, or they are going to plan a protest or worldwide protest to come back. So we later saw a release from Madam Priscilla Cooper, or legal counsel, George Calando, who posted on the official page that the government is using Representative Cooper as a skillful lamb, that they are going to use her because she's like a part of the Unity Party, but they are going to use her to catch the attention of others so that they can be able to be distracted from what happening. So a lot of things went on today, and we are going to dive into most of the happenings and just a little gist of what I gathered today.
Great. Mr. Colando said the arrest of Madam Cooper is a facade. It is just for floor show before the Liberian populace, before the Liberian people say they are arresting only opposition people. So they arrested one of their own, basically with no charge, but it is to show, to convince people that they are not doing witch hunting. So they're using her as a scapegoat. And
Exactly.
her lawyer made that clear that this is not going to fly. We know what's going on. You got no case against these people. You arrested them, and you're using my client as a prop. So this is what's going on in our. So are you hearing anything with the press releases from the opposition?
For now, we have not seen any press release from any opposition party, but as some opposition, let me bring Mr. Pewee in quickly. Okay, so some opposition members are coming out with some statements. So we are still following it to see how best they are going to come in group, or rather, they are coming in as individual.
Uh, Honorable people, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm happy to be here today. Today is a day that it's a weekend, and trying to reflect on this day basically is very important. I'm happy to be here today.
Great. Today we saw something very unfamiliar in Liberia, in our jurisprudence. If I may use the words of the former president of the United States, Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt, he would have said, quote unquote, today in Liberia jurisprudence, this will be a day that will live in infamy, where basically almost the entire voice of the opposition was arrested. Not only were they arrested, but their rights were violated according to some legal luminaries, according to Chapter 13 of the Liberian Criminal Procedure Law. Once a person is formally charged, the question of relief becomes a matter of the court, not the police. The police told the court that these people should be held. Unbelievable, Mr. Pewee. We are talking about the law. We are talking about the ego of a group of people or the police chief against the law, against the procedure.
Yeah, this is quite unfortunate, and we're going to be very straightforward today and say I see some problem headed for Garguah. He's a young man, and I see why he faced some other problem before, on the other side of it. I'm not going to go there, but I see some serious problem headed his direction. He's not mindful. If he's that intoxicated in terms of power, you have to be a little mindful as to how he intends to do this. The Constitution, let me remind others, give the right for bail bond. That every citizen in the country, if whatsoever crime that is being carried out by any individual whatsoever, that person is protected under the laws of filing in his bail bond. He can be released to his or her lawyer, right? And now, with the exception of second crime. That is probably something in our cases. The lawyer will have to come later and say if I'm wrong. A certain crime like those treasonable crimes, like some murder cases and the rest of that, like rape, if you will. And then it's also again it depends on the magnitude of that particular matter, then the level of the judge to use his description to see if they can grant a bail bond in that direction. But for Assam, if you will, it is buildable. I don't understand why. I don't understand why that the police is the one that's barricading the rule of law, the justice system. Let me remind our president that Liberia just got elected on the Security Council. Something that one of the basic tests of that rule is for you to respect and adhere to the rule of law, and attempt to thwart the rule of law and to bring some level of them trying to weaponize the judiciary to target certain individual is wrong. And I think this premise was ever since established during the time the fire started when the president spoiled the entire thing. He spoke, he prejudiced the case, and the police director filed a suit, the Minister of Justice filed a suit. And now the government prosecution team is doing the same. The president referred to the action that was an act of gangsterism and vandalism, if you will, with outside of prior police preliminary investigation, what have you. So Everything the president said, the police is trying to move in said direction so as to prove the president correct and all of that. I think this is based on incompetent investigative process being carried out by the Liberian National Police. And it's very unfortunate. Now, I agree. I'm not having issue here with the attempt of you coming to say you want to charge these people. You can come and charge them, right? Appropriately charge them and forward them to court. We do have the writ of paper corpus. It would be eventually, because if you do charge them, you have to act in keeping with the statutory period of 48 hours. If you charge them, you have to do that. Now, remember, again, I don't know if the charges have been pushed forward, but they're trying to deeply politicize this issue. And the way they're going about it, you're going to set a stage to not only heavily divide the country, but you have a country that is weak on security, and the security personnel themselves are doing those kind of repugnant things and imprudent things that are unfolding currently in the country. So I believe that this is quite unfortunate. We have to be very straightforward as to how we intend to do this. If you want to target the former speaker because you felt he embarrassed the government, he didn't do anything to embarrass the government. What he did at the time was constitutional. He acted in keeping with the laws of our country. So if you believe that whatsoever that unfolded at the time, you're trying to now target him, this is a vendetta, I mean, it's wrong. And we all Liberians have to speak against this, because this is how the country will slowly slip into some level of serious security situation, and then folks sit at the back and don't want to discuss these things. I think the situation about what is currently unfolding in the country, it is condemnable, and we all should speak to it. I'm not, again, quickly, I'm not having no issue whatsoever with people going to court. My problem here is you should set the basis for the rule of law. People should be given the due process to be whole. And part of the due process, if you charge people, they should be open to their lawyers. The fact that you skip them incommunicado, that is tantamount to blatantly violating the laws of our country. I think we all should generally speak against those things.
Great. Furthermore, the lawyer, the legal mind said, the commonly cited 48-hour rule under Article 21F of the Constitution, which mandates that a person arrested must be charged within 48 hours or released, does not apply once charges are filed. In this case, since the charges have been filed, the police should have either released the lawmakers on their own recognizance or bail, or immediately turn them over to the court of the country. So here we are. They have been fully charged. The police have done their work. Under Article 21F of the Constitution, once the men have been mandated and the charges have been filed within the 48 hours, that rule doesn't apply because they have already been charged. They have to be turned over to the court. Exactly. And they should be either be released on their own recognizance, or they should file a bill. Exactly. These people are law-abiding citizens. They are lawmakers. They can't say they are at risk of flight. That's not so. So I mean, it's
not even the police that determine if they are flag race, right? It's the police does not determine that. It's the court. It's the judge. It's the court. A competent court will determine if they are. Now, part of that, the court will either ask you to surrender your travel dossier in instance where they doubt your credibility, that you are a flag rate. Then the court will request that those travel dossiers be available to the court. The court will take seize of those while the court process or litigation process ongoing. So this is the process that we are going to go through. But Jimmy, I'm going to join you. I just have to take a very quick brief time. I will join you quickly to continue the show. But it's quite unfortunate. We are going to speak very vehemently against this miscarriage of justice that's currently unfolding under the nose of Abdullah Jimmy Bwaka. It's quite unfortunate. It's condemnable. It's abuse of power. It's abuse of our modern democracy. And shame on Gregory Cuomo. And we expect people like him to begin the process of respecting the laws of this country and not to abuse the law for the quite of naked position of police chief in our country. It is quite unfortunate. And these kind of knee-jerk approaches being deployed to hit on the opposition side wouldn't be taken lightly. And I think this time that we all speak and speak loud about this prejudice case that they have against the former speaker and a few other lawmakers that's currently unfolding in the country.
Thank you. Ahmed, welcome.
Thank you.
If you are if you own our Muslim brothers, take it. If you on the other side, we say Happy Eid or Mubarak. Is that how am I saying it right?
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Okay. It looks like you are not sure yourself here, but it's all right. We are going to have our Muslim brothers, when they come on, they will tell us how that goes. But Ahmed, as I just stated, those of us who are students of history, I just quoted the former United States President Delano Roosevelt when Pearl Harbor, when the United States was attacked. He used these words when he says, "Today we live in infamy." That means it's a disgrace and an attack on who we are as a free society. Today in Liberia, according to the front pages of the paper, Liberian police denied temporary release of the former Speaker of the House of Representatives and several other lawmakers. Your take?
Well, today the country is between two areas. The overwhelming pride and commitment for the rule of law, and also the anger against or rejection of its weaponization or politicization of the very two. And in my view, we've seen both being displayed today. There's no doubt every Liberian, regardless of side, tribe, or religion, will condemn the fire incident at the Capitol, and we want nothing more than perpetrators of that crime being brought to justice. We think that's the right thing to do because for too long we have entertained impunity in our country. So everybody will want that. And in ensuring that that happens, we do not want the actual perpetrators to walk scot-free, and perhaps those who are not actually involved with the crime will go to jail. So let's take, for instance, among the many things, one of the lawmakers, and I'm not looking at people on the basis of the party they connect to. I'm simply looking at the rule of law being weaponized or being used as a weapon of manipulation. So we take the case of one of the person accused. Before I come to the others, let's say Priscilla Cooper. How do you simply charge a person because in the performance of their duty they wrote a letter indicating that indeed the chairs in the chamber were removed because of work she had sanctioned to be carried out, considering that she was the chairman of body organization? If you do that, and that becomes the basis, that becomes some of the claim to your charges, then of course it makes us to wonder as to whether your approach is not otherwise being induced. How do you charge a person who you claim wrote a letter indicating that law, but you didn't say, okay, these are the people who did the actual breaking of the place. There's no record, there's no information, there's no charge of who broke the place, but you're charging someone who wrote a letter indicating that indeed the breaking of those chairs or the removal of the chair were part of the work and sanctioned to be done. Our law says in the performance of their duties, legislatures are exempted from persecution. So that raises a flag to me. That's one. Two, in serious cases of this nature that is so sensitive, with political feuds all around it, I think you should go beyond charging people on the basis of hearsay. To come and say, oh, people who did it well say, oh, that Fonati tell to do it, did. In my view, that's sufficient. I mean, if you want to build a case of this magnitude, I think you should go for more. You should have something more substantial. Do you have evidence of a corporate? Anyway, like I said, we do not intend to adjudicate the case on the closing argument. We hope that it goes to court in a way that is fair, justice is justice is served in an impartial way, and those now accused are considered innocent as per the standard of our law until proven guilty. The rights to everything, including bail, should be respected. We hold the Inspector General to his word that says those people will not be held more than the required time granted by the law. And so we look forward to that. But like I said, cases of this magnitude must go beyond mere usage and acid. And so we will follow the process. We think people should, of course, give the process chance to avail itself. For now, we'll stop there.
Well, Fonati Kofa himself, a Monrovia boy who was born during the Totma era, understands the intricacies of Liberian politics and the weaponization of the judiciary. Today, he went to court with a symbolic toothbrush in his hand, a la Port, the pamphleteer, our Port. Every time he walked around Monrovia, he had his toothbrush and his toothpaste in his pocket, availed himself to President Totman to be arrested anytime he wrote something against President Totman. Fonati Kofa, being a student of history and a student of the order, knows exactly what was unfolding, walk on the grounds of the Capitol, and you saw it. He had his toothbrush in his hand. And for the young folks, for folks who are not familiar with Liberian history, they were shocked. They were wondering, what was he doing with toothbrush in his hands? But for those who are students of history and Liberian politics, you will actually reference our Port every time he was walking, because he was always being arrested by Totman and put in jail. So everywhere he went, he took his toothbrush with him, ready to go to jail at any time. The only thing he cared about was his personal hygiene. Once he had life, he wanted to just brush his teeth and wash his face and did what he loved doing, which was document what has happened to him, what is happening to him. So this is what Kofa did. It was very symbolic, but if you have any say so, if you have an idea about the history of the toothbrush being walking around in Monrovia, speak to that a little bit. You are muted.
The likes of Ports, those were legendary revolutionary, the student principle. They were not deterred about the prison, neither were they deterred by even physical harm to their body. So they knew that the government was never tolerant of dissent. The government was not prepared to face the truth. And so psychologically, so what we did was psychological, to mentally prepare himself so that he is not deterred to speak the truth. In other words, he was saying to the president then that, look, you can't scare me with jail. because I stand with the truth. And I think Fanati in modern time, the pattern was this. Normally when the police invite you at this time, but the police action was calculated. They choose a Friday. They also choose a Sunday holiday. They knew that the Muslims who are majority controller in the transportation business will be celebrating their feast. And so, in other words, there will not be an active movement of public transport. So the community of people could be a little challenge, you know. And then also they choose a Friday that when they bring you home, they can keep you for a few hours. The courts will be closed to seek bond, but they will keep you, and you can't do anything until perhaps Monday. They will keep you in quote unquote the 48 hours that expires instead of Saturday and Sunday. I'm sure it's on Monday. So it was calculated. It was well planned out. Invited you on a Friday, on a day that they knew you wouldn't have a lot of, I mean, that's a significant part of our population that was on a celebration today. So even though it was not declared a national holiday, but that group of people control a good sector. They control the stores. I mean, they're involved with businesses. They control public transit. So when you get all of them off the normal business day, you mean that's quiet. You can't have that roughly. So they knew that the people are going to be a little quiet. They'll bring those guys in, control the scenery, keep them there for a few hours, and you have the courts closed, charge them a few hours to the day. You can't go anywhere because we still need you for investigation. Now you're not a person of interest no more. You are a suspect. So they keep you. So I think it was all of those things. Kofa being a lawyer and of course student of history knew all of those things. Say, look, we're going in, but we're not coming out. Even if those charges are bogus, even if those charges are weak, but for today, we're not going to come out. So
Wow.
I think that was, yeah.
Are you a student of American history?
Well, I read some. I'm a graduate, so yes, I have to study some of it.
Okay.
And I read a lot.
Okay. And if you have your phone, let's pull up. Let's look at the Jim Crow definition. Jim Crow. Jim Crow is a law carried out by states and local government in the United States, primarily in the South. Okay? I'm getting somewhere here. That enforce racial segregation and discrimination against a particular group of folks, African American, from the end of the Reconstruction, okay, 1877, until the civil rights movement of the 1950s and the 60s. These laws, often implemented after Reconstruction, aim to maintain white supremacy and limit the rights of opportunities to Black and minorities. And they did that through the police state. So here we are. Jim Crow did all of these. We're talking about intimidation through the police state, discrimination of all kinds, imprisonment, you name it. We are looking at Liberia that is a replica of this old South. Tactics being used in Liberia can be directly attributed, very similar to that of Jim Crow. Arrest a person on Friday, knowing that everything will be closed on Saturday and Sunday, and the person spent roughly 3 days in jail, and then Monday, you let him out. You are trying to intimidate the opposition. And this is what they are doing to the former Speaker of the House of Representatives for the Republic of Liberia, J. Fonati Kofa. Fonati Kofa, being a student of that era, understood exactly what was unfolding. He knew what was happening. He grew up on a Torgbean. He also knew that the likes of Joseph Boykai, born and raised and grew up in that particular era, understands and loves the benevolent dictatorship of Tubman. This is what this man is doing. He loves absolute power. He vanquishes opposition. Those he can, he will make you, bring you down to your knees. If not, humiliate you to intimidate you. This is all part of the game plan, and I'm glad that you saw it, that it went it. According to our newspaper on the floor, on the ground, Myean said, they arrived at the courthouse, at the police station, for that Kofa and the rest of the invitees came, and the inviter, those that invited them, the police chief, all of these folks were never present. And they waited for hours. And finally, they decided, well, these people invited us, and they are not here. After all this time, we have to leave. And they were leaving. As they were leaving the compound, all of a sudden, security apparatus came and blocked them in. Say, you're not leaving. So these are the Gestapo tactics we are talking about. Your take.
Yeah, so I mean you're right. But you see, can you hear me?
Yes.
So you're right. You made a very valid point. And you know, like I said, when we raise these concerns, it in no way suggests that we do not want the rule of law to be applied, or that there must be preferential treatment given to anybody if there are enough evidence. But you cannot do these old draconian tactics and you do not give reason for people to become apprehensive or concerned. Look, it was simple. Concern, bring these people. You already knew the charges for these people. It's not like it was today you concluded your investigation or you draw those charges. Bring those people in by 8 o'clock. Charge them, send them to the court. Allow them to go in front of a judge, seek a bail. When you do these things, you tell to us, you convince the public of the integrity of the investigation. You convince the public of the sole purpose of seeking justice by the government. But you carry on this same old 1940, 1950 tactic of intimidation. Bring them in by 10 o'clock, delay them for up to like 2, 3, 4 hours, just so that you can kill time for the courts to close. By the time you know the courts are closed, you ask most of the judges who perhaps could provide bail to leave the offices and stuff like that. Then you give charges that have been there all along. When you do these same things that remind us of the dark past, when justices were bent, then of course you create apprehension. You create reason for people to speculate. Because what was the big deal? You had these charges. You concluded your investigation long before yesterday. By the time you invited those people, you knew who you were going to charge. You knew who you were going to say. Around the same time that you released Foucault and Melvin Cole, you could have meted your charges against them, send them straight to the court to give them the opportunity to seek bail. So the point we make tonight is not a one that says Fonanti and other people should not be charged or they should be given any extra preferential treatment if there are compelling evidence that they committed a crime. We stand without any shadow of doubt that those committing the crime of burning our capital must be held liable, no matter who you are. But we, as we said, students of history, those of us who follow the pattern of legal manipulation, we become concerned when we see those same actions happening. Every act of the police today was calculated. Some of the calculated action resemble political influence. Those political influence include inviting a person, withholding him until you know that the court is closed. Because so what you want to prove is that you can keep them in jail. You don't want to prove that you can seek justice. Because that's what you could do. You attend an order of court today with sufficient time to go through the process, build, they become prisoner, or they become persons of the court now, leaving the police system, they enter the criminal justice system, but now at the court, waiting for redress. But you still keep them. Only to perhaps you don't sleep in some of the offices tonight, or maybe a jail, because you're not going to send them to South Beach tonight. You cannot. Because quote unquote is still an investigation. You're going to keep them there just because you want to prove a message, you want to show muscles. And that's not what the law should be. The intent of the law is not to show muscle or strength. The intent of the law is to show justice.
This is, ladies and gentlemen, this is the closing argument. Today is Friday. It's going to be fiery. We are just giving you the appetizer, and we just started. We try to whet your taste bud for what's going to come later on. But let's go to another subject. We'll return to this case here. But yesterday actually, from the end of the United States here, from the new government, it says here, a proposed U.S. remittance tax could hit Liberian families hard. In a quiet office, on the outskirts of Monroe Isaac's success, Yoma manages a stream of transactions from Liberian collecting money sent by loved ones from abroad, mostly from the United States. It is a steady business, and for many of his successors, these are essential. But a provision in President Trump's so-called big and beautiful bill posed the U.S. Congress last month could soon change that. The bill passed the House of Representatives and now awaiting action in the Senate. It will place a 3.5% tax on remittances sent out of the United States by non-citizens, even though with green card and other visa holders are subject to the 3.5% taxes. Only a U.S. citizen will not pay these taxes. The bill originally had a tax of 5%, but was reduced to 3.5% in Congress, the negotiation. If it becomes law, the tax will take effect January 2026. So, Ahmed, those of us who send money, and a lot of money, beginning January 2026, within the next 6 months, every dollar sent to Liberia will be taxed 3.5%. Economists are saying this will have a devastating impact on the other end in Liberia, because people who are sending $100 here, $30 there, now we have to pay a hefty sum of money, and some may decide not to send money at all. Your take, this is huge.
Well, I think this actually falls in your court as a Republican. We told you guys that these things, political choices come with consequences. Many of you Liberians who are Republicans, we told you guys that, look, the ideology, the vision of Trump, the quote-unquote make America great vision, was one that resembles isolation, was one that could suffocate free trade, was one that could create a situation that people who are major taxpayers in America would have challenges. Look, not everybody who sends money to Africa do so simply to feed family. They have businesses there. They have to pay staff. And they use that business income to pay taxes in America. And so you are putting additional tax on a man who is running a business in Africa, for example, a registered business in America, and the proceeds from that helping to pay taxes here. Yeah, not that, but again, like I said, it now falls on your feet. How do you feel? Having stood, having championed, having voted for this man, having supported, how do you feel now? What do you have to say? Will you be apologizing to the Liberian people now?
Listen, I am for MAGA, making America great again, and I support it, and I will support it again. Listen, what's wrong with Liberia saying Liberia first? Why aren't you putting Liberia first? Why aren't you looking from within and saying, you know what? We are going to reform our economy by looking at our concession agreements. We are now going to, instead of going into our personal pockets, we are now going to make sure that the natural resources of this country benefits the people. Liberia first. What's wrong with being Liberia first? Trump is saying America first. Whatever happens out there, fine, but America comes first. What's wrong with Liberia coming first? What's wrong with us looking at the concession agreement from most of the American companies there? They understand America first. They will also understand Liberia first. What's wrong with us saying Liberia first? Why don't we put Liberia first and we always putting ourselves first, then Liberia second?
So here's where you miss the point in my view. And when I say you, I'm not talking to you.
I understand.
Talking about that concept, the Trump
That's
concept.
correct.
Every American president has always put America first. In fact, they have created from the day of John F. Kennedy, they have created a mentality that America leads the free world. It means every person that felt free, America was the leader. To become the leader means you put your country first. Now, here's the difference. America first was defined also among securing financial benefit. America first also meant humility, also meant value, also meant respect for human dignity all around the world. You must put all of those components together and then be able to say America first. You cannot be the moral leader of the world. In your definition of America first means you go in isolation or you come to penalize, use the unique position that you sit to humiliate people. I want this man stated. Are you there?
I'm here. I'm listening to you make your case. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? That you need to go in and come back in. Go out and come back in.
This man is. I'm a wild Benny.
You got another gadget there. I think you should go out and come back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the pending 3.5% taxes on remittances to Liberia. If you are going to be sending money to Liberia as of January 2026, you are going to be paying taxes to the American government. And what we are saying here is, if America is doing this, why can't Liberia do the same? Why isn't Liberia telling Firestone, Metal Steel, Bee Mountain, everybody else that are doing business in Liberia, that our Liberian citizens will be first? Why are we paying? Why are we selling work permits in the thousands to foreign people and laying off Liberians? Why aren't we saying Liberia first? You heard Mr. Guar from Minister of Labor. They sold 8,000 work permits to foreigners, job that Liberians could do. So what's wrong with the Liberian government stepping in and saying, you know what, Liberia first? Why are you upset with President Trump when he says America first? Everything we do, we're going to begin at home. This is what the scripture said. Charity begins at home. We have to take care of home first, then we go out and take care of the other folks. The old American policy of manifest destiny, which is for us to go out there and show that we are the leader of the free world by giving food and doing all of these things. Trump is saying no. If you are doing business with us, you're going to pay the taxes here. If you were dodging paying taxes here by going to Liberia or Panama and using their flag of convenience, we're going to look at that too. If you are doing it to dodge paying taxes to the United States and then you pay Liberia peanuts, that is not going to happen anymore. What's wrong with the Liberian government, the Liberian people demanding that Liberian be post first? Why are you trying to blame the United States or the international community for your own failure at home? As of January 2026, if everything goes well, as planned, you are going to be paying 3.5% tax on anything you send to Liberia, any money remitted to Liberia, if you are not a United States citizen. And this applies to those with green card and other visas in the United States. And it says this. This is the article here. And thank God for Front Page Africa. They took the whole thing. So remittances from the diaspora play a crucial role in Liberia's economy. The central bank reported nearly $60 million in personal inward remittances in September 24 alone. Much, if not flowing through money transfer operators, mobile money services, and informal networks. Liberia received approximately $800 million in U.S. money in personal remittances in 2023, making an increase from the $689.74 million in 2022. That is the equivalent to the government's entire national budget, an amount for nearly 20% of the economy, one of the highest rates in Africa, according to the World Bank. Liberia is not alone, though. In 2023, remittances flow to Africa reached 54 billion with a B, with Liberia being one of the nations where these flows constitute the highest share of the economy. So now, if you are a Liberian, if you are in the legislature, if you are in the judiciary, if you are in the executive, what's wrong with you telling the international community, the Lebanese, the Indians, those who are doing business in Liberia that are sucking the money out of Liberia, why aren't we charging the Lebanese for transferring our money from Liberia to Lebanon, or from Liberia to Guinea, or from Liberia to Sierra Leone, or from Liberia to India? That amount of money that we call capital flight in the Republic of Liberia, why aren't the Liberian government, the Liberian people demanding that money leaving Liberia, taxes be paid on it, additional transfer taxes be paid on it to benefit the Liberian people? We have always mimicked everything the United States did. So if the United States is doing this to raise money, billions of dollars into the economy, why can't we do the same? Why should we complain that the United States is not doing us fair? Is the United States responsible for your government? Is the United States responsible to take care of your people? Is the U.S. responsible for the welfare of the state of the Republic of Liberia? It looks like you are transferring your aggression. Instead of being upset with your lawmakers, with your government, you want to blame President Trump. It is false and it's misleading. Our business could drop, the topic here, Ashan Business Center in Mambagle, Yoma facilities money transfer through Western Union, RIA, BNB, and mobile platform. He says the proposed tax will have a chilling effect. I receive about 30% daily for remittances withdrawal, the majority of which is sent from the United States of America. Yoma said, customers aren't talking about it yet, but if it becomes more expensive to send money, people might reduce what is sent or find other ways. Our business could drop. People might even start avoiding former system altogether. He added that any uncertainty tend to spark anxiety among customers, many of whom live payment by payment. We are talking about folks who depend on families and friends from abroad to help them out on a daily basis. Last week, I was listening to young folks, 2 or 3 young folks that were suffering from the lack of dialysis in Liberia. And one of the ladies said that she spends $230 a week, US dollar a week, to get her dialysis done. And the money is usually sent from her friends and family from abroad. So this is going to impact her. It's going to impact those people. But the question is, so what is it that our country, what our Liberian government is doing to mitigate this? Instead of blaming President Trump, what is it that we are doing to help ourselves? A blow to small enterprises. Destin warned that the ripple effect could extend beyond households. There are businesses here that rely on remittances payment for customers or partner abroad, especially those doing small-scale cross-border trade or e-commerce, he said. If the U.S.-based sender feels it's too expensive to continue, those businesses may lose capital or sales. The Ministry of Finance and Development Planning acknowledged receiving questions from New Narrative, Front Page Africa, but did not respond to their publication. What comes next? The provision is one small part of President Trump's controversial overall tax and spending bill, formally titled the bill, which still faces hurdle in the U.S. Senate, have faced opposition from U.S. lawmakers and Elon Musk, President Trump's billionaire advisor. Even if the overall bill fails, experts expect the provision will be included in whatever bill eventually passes. They warn it could reshape global remittance flow and deeply affect communities that rely on them. The government and vendors in Liberia should start preparing now, Destin said. Even if this version doesn't pass, similar policies could return. The dependency on remittances leaves us vulnerable. This story was a collaboration with New Narrative. Funding was provided by the American Jewish World Service. The funder had no say-so in this. So this is a collaborative partnership between Front Page Africa and the New Narrative, and it's paid for by the American Jewish Service worldwide. So this is serious. Instead of talking to your lawmakers, talking to your government about what's happening, the government is making you to feel as though it is not their fault that they have not put in policies to protect you, but that it is the fault of the United States government. If it's not politics and we are not at each other's throat, it doesn't concern some people. But this particular subject, it is what affecting all Liberians. There are many, many Liberians that have no interest in politics, do not care what happens because they don't benefit, but they do care for this particular subject. because their children, their husbands, their wives, their nephews, and their nieces are sending money to Liberia every day. And as of January 2026, everything is going to change. If you are sending $30, $40 a week or a month to family members, get ready to pay taxes. So let's go to the next subject here. President Joseph Boakai joins AML CEO Metal to dedicate country first $1.8 billion iron ore concentration, one of the largest in Africa. The question is, will this put food on the table of the Liberian people? What's the difference that this will make? Are they hiring more people? Today we were looking, and I guess it was Front Page Africa. One of the newspapers had the reporters in the field, and they were speaking to citizens of Yekepa. How has this corporation, this company helped you guys? And one of the young lady, very well spoken, she says, we are over here. She said, look at the boundaries over there. All of our families and friends that are working for Metal Steel, they are all sleeping in containers. He says, this is Area C or Area F, she named. When Lamco was here, these buildings were beautiful. We had running water. We had utilities. He said, but since Metal Steel came, there has been none of those things. She said, at times, even Metal Steel, the people from over there come over here to get water from the well. So here we are. A federal Metal signs a 25-year MDA with the Liberian government, setting the stage for iron ore mining operations. To a little historical background, in 2006, Metal Steel Limited Liberia is formally created. 2011, Metal Steel began mining operations in Liberia, marking the country's return to the global iron ore stage after a 20 years absence. 2012, the first shipment of Liberian iron ore was expected through the port of Buchanan, demonstrating the success of the revived iron ore industry. 2022 phase 2 expansion is reactivated, indicating a commitment to growth and increased production. 2025, this year, the concentrator is commissioned, further solidify ArcelorMittal position as a key player in Liberia mining sector and a global supplier of premium iron ore concentration. Yekepa, Nima County, President Joseph Boakai and the ArcelorMittal Executive Chairman, Mr. Metal, on Thursday attended the inauguration of Metal's world-class concentrator. The state-of-the-art concentrator, one of the largest iron ore beneficiary in or plant in Africa, is the centerpiece of Metal's $1.8 billion phase 2 expansion project. The project is expected to boost the country's annual ore production in Liberia from 5 million megatons to 20 million tons, while significantly enhancing product quality to higher grade, higher value iron ore, according to the company. Coming shortly after the company marked 20 years of mining operation in Liberia, the commissioning of the concentrator brings Metal total investment in the country to approximately $3 billion in US money. In addition to the concentrator, the expansion project includes critical infrastructure upgrades, and the railway from Tokade to Buchanan is being modernized. A new pier has been added at the Buchanan port, and new material handling systems have been installed. The project has employed 5,000 concentrator contractors and maintains a permanent Liberian workforce of over 2,000. Are you satisfied with a $5 billion company hiring only 2,000 Liberians? 2,000 Liberians for all of our iron ore that have been extracted from our land. 2,000 Liberians. Are the people of Nima County happy? Are they benefiting from this? If you are a Liberian and you follow the history of mining in Liberia, and you saw what happened with Global Witness, it says 66 of the 68 agreements, I want to believe, stand to be corrected, was never in the interest of the Liberian people. And President Joseph Boakai, as a candidate, said if he became president, one of the first things he was going to do was to review the concession agreements. Did he overpromise and underperform? Or as usual, should we say, it is just a year and a half, we got 5 more years to go? Can the Liberian people wait? According to Dr. Tapper, when he was here, he said 60% of the Liberian population is under 30, right around the age where people begin to have families, have children. We have, up to, according to Martin Colley, between 90 and 95% unemployment rate. And a company of this size hires only 2,000, and the president is there hailing them. Hailing them, applauding them, clapping for them. Every $5 billion extracted, one can say 2,000 jobs are created. Are Liberians being treated fairly? Are the people from Nimba being treated fairly? This is their property. This is their mine. This is their land. What is the Nima caucus saying? What is their track record for keeping their commitment? What is the track record for Metal Steel? A little commentary here. It says, since entering Liberia in 2005 through a 25-year mineral development agreement, Metal have played a central role, according to them, in the country's iron ore industry. Mining operation began in 2011, and the first iron ore was shipped, like we said, through the port of Buchanan in 2012. In 2022, the company reactivated its phase 2 expansion, and now with the commissioning of this concentrator stand as a critical turning point.
Hey Siri.
As Liberian position itself to benefit from these natural resources, a sudden metal expansion, one of the largest mining investments in Africa, signaled a renewed era of economic opportunity, infrastructure growth, and shared prosperity. But is the prosperity being shared? That's the question. Are Liberians getting a fair share of $5 billion being removed from the country? And we got only 2,000 jobs since 2000 when these folks came in. Going on 25 years, they created 2,000 jobs. Is this something to be proud of? Is this where we want to be? should this be a major fight? Or should we be distracted by arrest of lawmakers, people doing their own thing, the executive against the legislature, as legislature and executive against the judiciary? Are those distractions for the Liberian people doing nothing? These leaders were elected, headed by the executive Joseph Yuma Boyka and his team, to represent the best interests of the Liberian people. Are they doing this? Instead, every day, all you hear, all you see is political fight, doing things that appeal to the base. Those who don't like the CDC, those who don't like the opposition, and those who support the president, they will rather see this fight continue rather than hold their feet to the fire to create jobs in the private sector. Now let's go to the next topic here. It says here, former Mayor Koji slams Senator Dara Dillon for splashing cash during the UN Security Council celebration. Here we are. This is a man who said at one time that Liberia's economy was in the toilet. This is what he said. The country's economy was in the toilet and it needed to be revised. And it reads, Monrovia, former mayor, Monrovia City Mayor Jefferson T.
So
Koji, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know whether you got my input in terms of, I was talking about the concerns that many of us will be raised, and the reason why we called the investigation into question. I think around that period there was some shaking on the thing, and so I just wanted to emphasize
Go ahead.
I just want to emphasize that point to say, when we raise these concerns, it in no way define that we interpose any objection to the full implementation of the rule, or that corporates of the burning of the capital should in any way be excused of the crime committed if there are evidence to adjudicate their guilt. No, we do not. We stand in full support. But we were saying, as you mentioned, that look, when you bring forth the same tactics, some of the same tactics of the past, where the police of the law was weaponized, then of course we become concerned. Like, for example, as I mentioned earlier, you take a person or group of people to the station with sufficient time, but you play delay tactics, something of the past. Courts are closed. There's no way to take them forward to the court system so that they could potentially seek bail. And why do you do that? You do that because you want to send forth a message that the law is strong, and not really that the law is just. Because that's what the law should be. The law should not be strong, the law should just be just. So that you can keep them, so that you can appeal to your the political sentiment of side that say, we collect you, we arrest you, we put you in jail. And that is not what the law should be about. It should be about giving justice. And when you do it like this, in my view, you're not serving justice. So I think those are some of the reasons why you see people a little bit apprehensive in terms of whether this is going to be a fair process, whether this is that politically motivated, and all of those things. And so we call on the police and the government that, looking at the sensitivity of this matter, one born out of political processes, you want to be very, very transparent. It's very sensitive. People will take into consideration everything. And so you don't want to just think that you can do it the old way. This is the new Liberia. It can be, you know. But I also sent in a chat room a statement issued today by the STEM pressure group. Perhaps you could play it or you could reference it as you go on the derailleur. But I just want to make that point, and then when you finish, I will come back with something I was trying to say.
Okay.
I'm trying to dig up the case involving former lawmakers before. You know, Roland Kahn, a former senator, but he was senator at the time when he was arrested for murder. And there was another lawmaker, Honor Chastetter, who was also arrested. In the case of those two people, they were actually directly accused of committing the act. It wasn't like, okay, a third party or fourth party said they asked me to go and do it. So I make that point to say, when you arrest or charge people on the basis, or they say that the man tell me, I mean, you should have a whole lot of evidence to substantiate that level of allegation. Particularly so when you want to charge your former speaker, let it be much more than perhaps they say. And so we do not question the police integrity. However, we are concerned about these little dark rooms, these little spots that require light. So we thought to throw light on that.
Okay. I mean, I'm looking at the statement here from Stan, and I'm also looking at a statement here from the Unity Party Youth Wing, and I'm going to pull them up. Give me a few minutes here. Let me pull it up here. It says, and this is actually good. For the first time, I'm seeing something, whether it is real or not, but it is from the Unity Party Youth Wing. Pull it up here. The Unity Party Youth Wing. The Unity Party's Youth Wing, as they condemn and show concern for their partisan Ms. Cooper and other accused. And I'm going to read that. Let me pull it up. Give me 1 minute here. Okay. It says here, statement from the National Youth Congress of the Unity Party, June 6, 2025. The National Youth Congress of the Unity Party strongly urges the government of Liberia to uphold the principles of justice, human rights, and due process in the ongoing legal proceeding involving Honorable Priscilla Cooper, representative of Maserado District Number 5, and others currently in custody. We express our deep concern regarding the treatment of our esteemed partisan, Honorable Cooper, and her alleged co-accused, who are facing multiple charges related to the alleged arson attack on Liberia Historic Capitol building on December 18, 2024. While we do not seek to interfere with the course of justice, we remind the government of its obligation to ensure that all accused individuals, regardless of their political affiliation, are treated with dignity and that their fundamental rights are fully respected throughout the legal process. The Unity Party remains committed to the rule of law and advocate for a transparent, fair, and impartial investigation into this matter. We extend our deepest prayer to Patterson Cooper and stand in solidarity with her and her family during this challenging time, firmly believing in her innocence until proven guilty. Signed, Ambassador Evan Boyma Tuku, Secretary General, National Youth Congress, United Party. Ahmed, this is a statement that was released by the youth wing of the United Party. Your take. You are muted.
Yeah, that statement all just highlight the level of insincerity and hypocrisy. You understand me? What the United Party tried to do with that statement is to further double down the narrative that to defeat the argument from others that, oh, the art of the police is witch hunt. So they bring themselves in the narrative. Priscilla Cooper, who is accused, has been for months under the investigation, scrutiny of the police. The Union Party not for once show the least support, not even because she's from a district anyway, not even the least of anything. So that press release today is one that wanted to suggest that, look, even our own people to be arrested by the police. And so there's that out of witch hunt or political persecution, as Kofa is currently alleging because he released a statement earlier today. So as much as I am not concluding that the police action is witch hunt or whatever, but I'm definitely to say the United Party statement comes in the wake of an attempt to sway the opinion of people who believe that the action by the police is a political witch hunt. And so that statement does not come from an honest background, but rather one of trying to continue the narrative or the spinning narrative. And when you do these things, those of us with critical minds then ask the question, what is it that you want to have? Why are you going to this length now? Is that something smoky? And Priscilla's lawyer released a statement earlier, just as you reading this statement, he released a statement also to say Priscilla is a sacrificial lamb, is a scapegoat of the ruling establishment, who is using her, just to support my point, who is using her charges to give the narrative that the government is not targeting falsely or politically those other opposition leaders. And so to make the case sound a little unbiased, they thought to throw in one person, and the person they would throw in is Priscilla Cooper, who is not sacrificial lamb. Now let's go back to why could they throw her in easily. Remember that Priscilla Cooper was named as one of the persons who signed the resolution to remove Kofa. But then I think a day or a few days thereafter, she had a press conference rescinding her signature and joined the Kofa's block, even though she was from the ruling party, thereby putting herself in complete conflict with members of her bloc. And so that could be the reason why she might have been cited on grounds that she wrote a letter or issued a release when the chairs in the chamber chairs were removed. She issued a release that those were done, the chairs removal was done with her knowledge as the chair on modernization and stuff like that. And so that she was called in to authenticate that. And so I make all of these points to say that release, what you just read, is that one that reflects a genuine point of position of the Union Party, is one that comes from a political spinning to help erase the growing speculation, something that Priscilla's lawyer has also expressed, that the action is more political, and Kofa and the other guys are being witch hunt, and so to erase that narrative, they thought to throw Priscilla in. So that release, no.
I'm looking at, you are talking about George B. Colando Sr., the lawyer
Yes,
from Miss Cooper wrote this. Honorable,
yes.
it says, Honorable Cooper is the sacrificial lamb of the ruling establishment. She is charged so that it can be seen that only opposition lawmakers were arrested. Article 42 protects her. We are not deterred by the charges. We will prove in court that she is 100% innocent. So this is why he is saying this is a ploy by the establishment that they are not only after, because there's a lot of noise out there that the government is after the opposition. So they are trying to play the dual role by persecuting this woman, even though they didn't want to, but she fell out of favor with most of them when she legally went and removed herself from that list of those who were sanctioning Honorable Kofa. J. Victor Nambe, welcome.
Thank you, Jerome. It's good to be with you. Amen. How are you, my brother?
Yeah, man.
Um,
Welcome.
it's good to be with you. Are you a practicing Muslim?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say Eid al-Adha. I believe that's the feast of
Your Arabic is terrible.
the feast of sacrifice. But let me say hi to our audience as well. I'm sorry for joining you late. I'm on my way to Minnesota tonight, where the Kehleboe brother and sister Knights in America are gathering for our annual meeting. So, last minute stuff taken care of. But it's good to be here. The issues you guys are discussing are following from the back some of the stuff you're talking about. Obviously, you dealt with the current situation at the Capitol building and all of that. So I'm not going to go back to it. I had always said, instead of continuing to bring these people in every now and then as people of interest, why don't you just charge them if you have the evidence? So they've done that. I think I'm at a point where I'm waiting to let the law take its course now. Let them take the evidence to court and see whether it will stand on its own merit. I'm also heartened by the fact that the LACC has finally decided to call in those who were alleged to have taken 25,000 bribe per lawmaker or so, to remove this former speaker, so that matter too. So I think this is it's not a bad development. I'm also with those who say, they didn't have to bring them in on a Friday evening, and it's just intimidation and flexing muscle, put them in and hold them over until Monday. That was necessary, but this is Liberia. So I hope the lawyers are getting ready and to challenge whatever evidence they produce in court. The situation with Solomon Town, I read yesterday that the president was in Yekepa, at the facilities there. And then came upon the write-up by Honorable Assam Musa Assam Bility, expressing that the president made this trip in almost total exclusion to the legislative caucus. I also saw Senator Yad Twain, I think, also expressing the same disappointment and frustration. And I am just really kind of flabbergasted as to why it is that this president finds so much difficulties in building some consensus. I don't see anything wrong with you bringing in the legislative caucus, bringing in the vice president as you did. Bring in the opinion leaders. Yeah, we're not saying go and canvass the whole of Nimba County, but take a representative view of the people of Nimba. As we all know, the Asalametel activists are in Nimba. Those are the people who will understand and feel whatever it is that Asala is doing in Liberia. And I think you should give them an opportunity to express what their apprehensions are, what their fears are, so that those will be captured in the preparation of the MDA. I think it's a very simple matter. But he did this thing that is becoming common practice. I don't know whether it is just just callousness or arrogance. It's really it's very, very confusing, and sometimes it's really frustrating. Simple things, yeah, you just want a seat on the council. You are now a symbol of peace, international peace. Try to demonstrate a little bit of that at home. you know so I was confused by that, and the honorable Musa raised that, as well as the Senator Twain raised that, and I'm sure there are other people who have raised the same concern. I saw some of the photos that were put out there by Senator Twain, and I believe Honorable Musa as well, and you can see the concerns. All of the roads leading to the facilities where these people are mining these millions and millions of dollars, the roads are all dirt roads. Why can't they develop the area? What is wrong with that? So now they're about to extend their agreement, and they're pledging to invest 1.7 whatever billion. What is it that this is going to do for the people? I think those are the concerns that the people have, and I think the president, I hope these are the initial stages of these interactions. I really hope on the next time around, when he's going, I take the representation of the people's view. The representatives represent the people. They express their views because they meet with them as their constituents. They understand where it hurts with these people. I don't think there's anything wrong with him trying to bring them on and taking them with him as part of his team. So I'm happy to be here. I won't stay too long with you. I thought of putting a little appearance, kind of give you a little assist here with you and Ahmed. So I'm passing it back to you.
Yes, let me read as usual. 7:30 is our cutoff time.
Okay.
8 o'clock we go off the air. In like 7:30 we go off the air.
Okay.
Radio land in Liberia, and then later on the panelists can continue if they want to do the Friday night. But
Gotcha.
this is what Musa said. He wrote this. I think you posted this, but we also had it in the chat room. Press statement from Honorable Musa Ability, member of the Liberian legislature, a member of the NIMBA Legislative Caucus, and orated June 5th, 2025. On the exclusion of NIMBA Legislative Caucus from the presidential visit to ArcelorMittal facility in Yekepa. Today, the president of the Republic of Liberia is visiting Yekepa, NIMBA candidate, to attend a high-profile program where Metal is reportedly in quotation marks dedicating a $1.5 billion facility to expand its mining operations. This event, coming just 4 years before the expiration of the existing Mineral Development Agreement, MDA, takes place merely 10 days after the NIMBA Legislative Caucus issued a formal statement raising critical concerns about the ongoing renegotiation of that very MDA. As a member of the NIMBA Legislative Caucus, I am deeply disappointed by the complete exclusion of the caucus from this visit. Despite recent collective concerns expressed privately and publicly regarding the transparency and fairness of the MDA renegotiation process, the government proceeded with this elaborate event without extending a single invitation or initiating any form of consultation with the whole leadership and membership of the NIMBA caucus. This act is dangerously dismissive of the legitimate concerns and constitutional roles of elected representatives of the people of NIMBA. It is troubling that of the 11 members of the NIMBA Legislative Caucus, only 2 are present at the event. And even those 2 attended without the consent or mandate of the whole caucus. No effort was made to engage the senators or representatives from NIMBA before this presidential visit. The president of Liberia, a guest in our county, is visiting without meeting with or hearing from the legitimate voices of NIMBA's people who elected to serve and speak on their behalf. Let me make this unequivocally clear. I am not against the president visiting NIMBA. nor oppose investment and development. On the contrary, I welcome it, but I insist that such development must be done in partnership with the people, not disregarding them. The road to a supplementary concession remains deplorable despite billions of dollars in resources extracted from our soil. The communities around the concession area remain underserved and underdeveloped. Our concerns about the MDA renegotiation process are rooted in the desire to ensure that the people of Nema will not be sidelined again this time. I hope that this visit will offer a rare opportunity to present our concern directly to the President and Vice President of the Republic. That opportunity has been lost, replaced by prompt and pageantry, pomp and pageantry without substance. This is not how a united, accountable government operates. The failure to engage the Nema caucus is a serious misstep. It sets a bad precedent, undermines trust, and disrespect the institution of legislature and the people of Nema, whose interest we are sworn to protect. And this is sign, this is our land, these are our resources, and our people deserve better. Sign, Honorable Hassan Musa Ability, Nema County District number 7. So this is well said, well spelled out, well defined. Why do you think the president did this?
Yeah, it boggles my mind too, Jerome. Far from me to speculate, except to say that I hope it was a mistake. I'm going to be as conservative as possible here, but I really hope that this president, will listen to the concerns being raised, and this is not just coming from Honorable Musa alone. Like I said, the senator Yatwayan raised the same issue, and I'm sure there's the other people. And I don't really think it would have taken a lot for the president to have, I think to have invited these people and made them a part of, the process. It is really, I think it's fair, because they're the one who are going to wear the shoes. They will know where the shoes, actually pinch it. They will feel the pinch of the shoes. So you should bring them in so that whatever it is that you're negotiating will capture their hopes, their aspirations, and whatever it is. I don't see how that could be any difficult for any president to do. More than that, you're the president, you're the father of the nation. You would take all the credit, even if these people came here. And I don't think the president is worried about anybody outshining him or whatever it is, or anybody taking credit. All the credit is going to go to you because you're the president. You're building your own legacy. Bring these people. I think the more people, the better it is for you to get it right. So yeah, the issues raising there, I think they're legitimate. Somewhere I heard some reporting where some of the local people were there were younger folks making their discontent known, and they were chasing them out, fearing that Asala will perceive their expression as representing the entire community, and therefore decide not to do what they were supposed to do. But of course, we can't have that. You should make provisions to listen to all sides, and that's how you get it right. So if the president had included these lawmakers as part of his delegation, they would have come with the voices of the people, as have been expressed to them through their constituency consultations. And that's how you put a package together, so that you don't do what the previous UP government did, where it is alleged, out of 66 or so, 68 agreements that were fashioned, I think only 2 of them were found to be, worthy of consideration. You don't want to do that. This is how we all, this is what we always say. You can't come from miles away and pretend to understand, the problem that the locals themselves feel. Even those of us who are being in NGO delivery and all of that, you always want to deliver the solution that the people desire, that they request. You can't get up and decide you put a well here because you think the people need a well when they might be needing something else. So you derive the solution from the people. And I think that's how this president would have done it. I hope he's going to think about this and include these people on his next, go around.
What would be the significance of the president and the vice president going and negating the rest of the legislative caucus? Is he buoyant by having the vice president, he doesn't need anybody else?
I mean, I hope that's not the reason, and I hope this is not an attempt to bolster the vice president's his creed, his cred. I'm sorry, as the Godfather. I've read some people writing under my post that he is the Godfather of Nimba. Once he's with the president, then all views are represented, and I hope that's not the intent here, because surely, like I've said over and over, I think it would have served this president much better. The more representation that he would have had on that committee, I think it would have given him a much truer and much diverse picture, background of how to deal with this. So I don't know the intention of the president for just taking the vice president along with him. I hope there's no other explanation behind it, but I still insist that I think the picture would have been more complete if he had brought in the representation on that committee.
Well, let's look at the leadership style of Joseph Boyka here. Those of us who are talking about his orientation, this looks like somebody from your neck of the wood, Totman.
Why you gotta be my neck of the woods?
Well, you are very close to the Maryland County, and Totman appointed the senator, the representative, everybody. He appointed everybody.
Yeah, and those who disagree with him, you send him you made him ambassadors, send him into foreign service or so. But yeah, I mean, this flexing muscle thing here. Look, let me tell you something, and you'll go back to people like Barack Obama. You have to bring contentious viewpoint in the room, right? And then you will be, the first among equals. But you want to make sure you draw from all angles of the issue, and that's how you arrive at the best judgment. But there's a very good chance if you leave out a good representation of the room. You only see you only see the ear of the elephant, and the rest of the elephant you will not see it, because you're catering to just the ear. You got to bring in every part of the problem and listen to the people. Advice is advice. You don't have to take it, but it gives you an informed judgment. It gives you an informed decision, and that's the essence of it. So the vice president, is, he's the second, in command in the country, but he is the vice president. He's part of the executive. These people are the representative. There's a reason why we call them representative. They represent the views, the hopes, and aspirations of these people. So you have to bring them to the table so that they will tell you what they are hearing from their people, and that's how you capture that. You capture that in the MDA.
Well, what happens to the former Godfather, Frank Johnson? He said they should do all they can to have the vice president, because it was time for Nima to produce a president. Right. And that person should be the voice and aspirations of the people. So now that you have what the Nima people wanted, this was the deal that was made. If you choose our son as the heir apparent to the throne, then everything else follows. So if Joseph Boyka is following what was said, because when this man was selected, the whole of Nima County was cheering. Whatever the deal was, what happened now? This was part of the deal. That listen, once you have this guy, everything else in Nima goes through him.
Yeah, I hate for us to wait 5, 6, 7 years down the road and then regret, that we didn't give ourselves, we didn't lend ourselves the opportunity to hear from all sides. The vice president, yes, he is a son of Nimba. He's the highest ranking official in government from Nimba, but still, he does not embody all of the views and aspirations of the people in Nimba. I just think the more people you brought on. So I don't know. Like we're saying here, I don't want to speculate, but it smacks of an attempt to empower and bolster the vice president's political standing in number over others. I don't know if there's such competition right now for that, but one can't help but to kind of speculate on that. But again, I don't want to dwell on that. I just want to make sure we get this right for the country, but more specifically for the people of Nimba.
Excellent. It's about 7:29, 7:30. Mr. Nambe, I know you have to run. I have to run myself. Today is Friday. Usually, the guys have a segment called Friday night where they come out and breathe. That means, to discuss.
Where we the kids leave the room and the big boys and big girls.
That's correct. They come in and there's no particular subject. You talk anything that comes to mind. They discuss politics, current event, international issues. And if you have time, later on, join them for your parting words.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I know you were here. You held the fort down. I appreciate that. And I know some of the guys were already in the chat room. I think they're coming in, like you said. I also appreciate Ahmed for coming in to join you. I think Sylvester may have also come on briefly too. So I appreciate the coming to assist. I also want to thank our audience for being there. But the issue with the Capitol building, I really hope that we allow the law to take its course. Much has been said. Let's wait and see what happens. I kind of frown on bringing in the people on the Friday, trying to belittle them and lock them up. Like you said on the show before I got here, this is a billable offense. They should let people go home and release to their own reconnaissance. Or they should have done that. I don't know if they didn't. I understand they're in detention tonight as we speak. I think this is not a good start. As to the issue with Nimba, I hope the president will listen. There's nothing wrong with going back and getting it right. I think it only makes it look more, I don't want to say powerful, but I think it makes him look more accommodating and as presidential. Thank you again for the show.
Yes, and say hi to everybody in Minnesota. We will be in Minnesota June the 21st and the 22nd. We're going to have, I think it's going to have a meet and greet. And then we're going to have a great time. CMC is coming to Minnesota, guys. Invite your friends, invite your relatives. Come and have a great time. Listen and hear what the third lane is all about. But until then, we see you Monday. Enjoy your stay in Minnesota. Say hi to everybody. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. The second part of the show will come on later on where you can talk politics, current event, anything on your mind, nothing specific. God bless.